Welcome to the 19th lecture in the lecture series on machine learning. In the current lecture, we are going to study about the issues of the machine learning, that is avoiding overfitting the data with respect to reduced error pruning and rule post pruning. So these are the two methods that are being used to avoid overfitting the data in decision trees. Then second is the incorporating continuous valued attribute, which is also one of the important issue in machine learning. At the end of the lecture, we will have a better understanding of avoiding overfitting of data and how to incorporate continuous attributes, and that is continuous attribute handling in decision trees. The content we discussed in the earlier lecture was the issues in decision tree learning. That is, what are the different issues that are being present in the decision tree. For example, avoiding overfitting of data, then handling of multiple attributes, that is handling continuous attribute variables, alternate attribute selection measure. So there are various issues that are to be addressed, and the one which we studied in the earlier lecture was the avoiding overfitting of the data. In the today's lecture, we are going to see how we can avoid overfitting of the data with the two techniques, that is reduced error pruning and rule post pruning. So these are the issues that are being faced in the decision tree learning study. So we know that there are several approaches to avoid overfitting in decision tree learning. So they are being grouped in two classes. The first is the approaches that stop growing the tree earlier before it reaches the point where it perfectly classifies the training data, and second is the approaches that allow the tree to overfit the data and then post prune the trees. The first approach is more direct, and the second approach, that is of post pruning overfit trees, has been found to be more successful in practice. Because in the first approach, the estimating there is a difficulty in estimating precisely when to stop the growing trees. Let us see what is reduced error pruning. Now, how exactly we might use a validation set to prevent overfitting? We know that the in training and validation set approach, the training set is used to form the learned hypothesis, that is the available data is separated into training set, which is used to form the learned hypothesis, and a validation set which is used to evaluate the accuracy of the hypothesis over subsequent data, and in particular to evaluate the impact of pruning the hypothesis. Now, how we can use validation set to prevent overfitting? Now, one approach is the reduced error pruning. Here the approach is, here we consider each of the decision nodes in the tree to be candidates for pruning. So what is a pruning? Pruning a decision node consists of removing the subtree rooted at that node and making it a leaf node, and assigning it the most common classification of the training examples affiliated with that node. So the nodes are removed only if the resulting pruned tree performs not worse than the original over the validation set. If we look at the figure in the here we have xi, and it has two subtrees, alpha and alpha. So when we apply the reduction So the entire subroot is being merged with a single tree that is called, that is alpha. Now this reduction has the effect that any leaf node added due to coincidental regularities in the training set is likely to be pruned, because these same coincidences are unlikely to occur in the validation set. So the nodes are pruned iteratively, always choosing the node whose removal most increases the decision tree accuracy over the validation set. Pruning of nodes continues until further pruning is harmful. That is, the decreases accuracy of the tree over the validation set. The impact of reduced error pruning on the accuracy of the decision tree is being depicted in this figure. If we compare this with the earlier one, so where we have introduced we have introduced another line between the dashed line and the solid line. So that is the effect of pruning on the test data. Now this figure depicts that the accuracy when the pruning begins, the tree is at its maximum size and lowest accuracy over the test set. Now as pruning proceeds, the number of nodes is reduced and accuracy over the test set increases. Here the available data is split into three subsets: the training example, the validation example which is used for pruning the tree, and a set of test examples which are used to provide an unbiased estimate of accuracy over future unobserved data. Now the plot shows accuracy over the training and test set. So accuracy over the validation set is used for pruning, and which is not depicted in the training data, which is not depicted in the plot. Now using a separate set of data to guide pruning, it is an effective approach provided a large amount of data is available. The major drawback of this approach is that when data is limited, withholding part of it for validation set reduces even further the number of examples available for training. There is an alternative approach called the rule postponing, which is useful in such situations. So there are many techniques which are being proposed which are involving partitioning the data into several different times in multiple ways and then averaging the results. Let us see the another approach for avoiding the overfitting data, that is rule post pruning. So this is the quite successful method for finding high accuracy hypothesis, and this is nothing but the rule post pruning. So this is a variant of the pruning method which is employed in C 4.5, and it is an outgrowth of the ID3 algorithm. So the rule post pruning involves the following step. The first is infer the decision tree from the training set, then growing the tree until the training data is fit as well as possible and allowing overfitting to occur. Convert the learned tree into an equivalent set of rules by creating one rule for each path from the root node to a leaf node. Next is prune each rule by removing any preconditions that result in improving its estimated accuracy. Then the last step is sort the pruned rules by their estimated accuracy and consider them in the sequence when classifying the subsequent instances. Now to ponder more on this, consider the decision tree for the playing sport data, playing sport task which we considered in this chapter. In rule post pruning, one rule is generated for each leaf node in the tree. So each attribute test along the path from the root to leaf become a rule antecedent, that is precondition, and the classification at the leaf node becomes the rule consequent. For example, so this is the way how we can convert the decision tree into the rules. So how we can say is, if we start traversing from root to leaf, if outlook equal to sunny and humidity equal to high, then play tennis equal to no. So the if part is called antecedent and then part is called the consequent. Similarly, we can frame the second rule like, if outlook equal to sunny and humidity equal to normal, then play tennis equal to yes. If outlook equal to overcast, then play tennis equal to yes. If outlook equal to rain, then wind equal to strong, then play tennis equal to no. If outlook equal to rain, wind equal to weak, then play tennis equal to yes. Next, each such rule is proved by removing any antecedent or the precondition. So what is antecedent? Antecedent is the if part of the rule, whose removal doesn't worsen the estimated accuracy. Given the above rule, for example, the rule post pruning would consider removing the outlook equal to sunny and humidity equal to high. Then it would select whichever of these pruning steps produce the greatest improvement in estimated rule accuracy. Then consider pruning the second precondition as a further pruning step. So no pruning step is performed if it reduces the estimated rule accuracy. So one method to estimate rule accuracy is to use validation set of examples containing disjoints from the training set. Another method is, which is used by C 4.5, is to evaluate performance based on the training set itself using pessimistic estimate to make up for the fact that training data gives an estimate biased in favor of the rules. Now the next question that arises normally here is, why we have to convert the decision tree to rules before pruning. So there are three advantages. The first is, converting to rules allows distinguishing among different contexts in which a decision node is used, because each distinct path through the decision tree node produces a distinct rule. The pruning decision regarding that attribute test can be made differently for each path. In opposite, that is in contrast, if the tree itself were pruned, the only two choices would be to remove the decision node completely or to retain in its original form. Then second is, converting to rules removes the distinction between attribute tests that occur near the root of the tree and those that occur near the leaves. Thus we can avoid messy bookkeeping issues such as how to reorganize the tree if the root node is pruned while retaining part of the subtree. Then the last is, converting to rules improves readability. So rules are often easier for people to understand. This is regarding how to avoid the overfitting the data. Then the next important issue of the decision tree is incorporating continuous valued attributes. Now we know we started the discussion of ID3 on only a discrete set of values. The target value, the target attribute whose value is predicted by the learned tree, must be discrete valued. Then we restricted ourselves, the attributes tested in the decision node of the tree must also be a discrete value. Now this second restriction is easily be moved so that continuous valued attributes can be incorporated into the learned tree. So this can be done by dynamically defining new discrete valued attributes that partition the continuous attribute value into a discrete set of intervals. In particular, for an attribute A that is continuous valued, the algorithm can dynamically create a new Boolean attribute AC that is true if A is less than C and false otherwise. Now, the question here is how to select the best value for the threshold C. Consider the example here. Suppose we want to include the continuous value attribute temperature in our training data, which is describing the training example days in the learning task. Suppose the training example associated with a particular node in the decision tree have the temperature values as shown here, and the target attribute plate is as given here. Now, what threshold based Boolean attribute should be defined based on temperature? So clearly we would like to pick a threshold C that produces the greatest information gain. Now, by sorting the examples according to the continuous attribute A, then identifying the adjacent examples that differ in their target classification, we can generate a set of candidate thresholds midway between the corresponding values of A. We can show that the value of C that maximizes information gain must always lie at such a boundary. So these candidate thresholds can then be evaluated by computing the information gain associated with each. Now, for this example, there are two candidate thresholds corresponding to the values of temperature at which the value of plate tennis changes, that is 48 plus 60 divided by 2, which is equals 54, and 80 plus 90 divided by 2, which is equal to 85. The information gain can then be computed for each of the candidate attributes, that is temperature greater than 54 and temperature greater than 85, and the best can be selected, that is temperature that is greater than 54. So this dynamically created Boolean value can then compete with the other discrete valued candidate attributes available for growing the decision tree. So this is how we can incorporate the continuous valued attributes for the decision tree. So let us summarize what we discussed in the today's lecture is regarding avoiding the overfitting of the data. So we discussed about the reduced error pruning, which is nothing but removing the subtree rooted at the node and making it a leaf node, and then assigning the most common classification of the tree examples affiliated with that node. Then we also discussed the rule post pruning, so how the decision tree has to be transformed into the rules and how we can perform pruning on the rules. So this shows how we are performing the root to leaf conversion from to the rules. We also seen how to incorporate the continuous valued attributes. The thing here is we have to just create a dynamic Boolean variable, and based on which we can fill out the discrete values. So the today's lecture falls under the category of L2, as we will be more elaboratively discuss the issues of the decision tree learning. So that's for the today's class. Thank you.